Hello, and thank you for joining me tonight. My name is Michael Tellerino. I am your host for tonight's broadcast. Tonight, I got two very special people with me. I got Connie Esparza.
Connie Esparza, yeah.
And I got Brian McDaniel.
Yes, sir.
They are both with the American Red Cross. I'm going to start out with Connie. If you might tell us a little bit about yourself and what your role is with the Red Cross.
Well, I'm Connie Esparza, Communications Manager and Spokesperson for the American Red Cross, and I have the fortunate opportunity to meet people like you, Michael, who are heroes in our community, but I also get the opportunity to talk to volunteers, donors, blood donors, and just wonderful people who are in the same I was going to say business of alleviating human suffering, because that's what we are, right?
Right.
Anytime there's a disaster or an emergency, the Red Cross and our volunteers are there.
Red Cross is an amazing group. And Brian, a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I'm Brian McDaniel, and I am the Regional Director for Service to Armed Forces here in the Red Cross for Illinois. So I have responsibility for our military community from the day they enlist until the day the family gets a flag. And
Really?
we are involved in the active duty, the reserve, the guard, the veterans hospitals, the state nursing homes, and we also run the 24/7 call centers to be able to help in emergencies for our
That's
service
awesome.
members.
American Red Cross, I mean, I don't, it's just an amazing organization. You reach out and touch the lives of so many people. It's amazing what your organization does for the general population.
And Michael, we're so fortunate, and thank you so much for having us here tonight, because time and time again, what we hear is, I didn't know that the Red Cross did that.
Right.
We didn't know that you respond to disasters. We didn't know that you're serving, in bases across the world and helping not just the enlisted, but also their families.
We don't want them to think it's just about blood.
Correct.
You do, the Red Cross does so much more than blood drives and donations of blood. They're just an amazing group of people. Let's start out and let's get the word out. What is recap the mission of the American Red Cross?
I mentioned it briefly. Our mission is alleviating human suffering in the face of disasters and emergencies. And we do that by mobilizing our volunteers. 90% of our workforce at the Red Cross are volunteers, and that's people like your viewers who say, I have time on my hands and I can donate that time. I can donate my expertise. And also by mobilizing the power of our donors. 90 cents of every dollar that we receive goes back to making
Right.
sure that the people who are affected by those disasters
Right.
are taken care of.
Again, I don't know of a better organization that does more to help the community that's in need. So it's amazing. How does the Red Cross respond to natural disasters? What is your role in that?
On a yearly basis, across the country, the American Red Cross responds to 65,000 disasters. The majority of those, Michael, being home fires. We respond locally when there's a disaster like a home fire or other emergency. It could be a tornado, could be a flood. We've seen building explosions and a variety of other scenarios. But also, when something happens in another part of the country, we mobilize our volunteers across the region who say, I have time, I can go away for 2 weeks, and I can go help people affected by Hurricane Helene, Hurricane Ian, a tornado in another part of the country, wildfires in California. Just, recently we had about, over 60 volunteers from our region who were on rotation going out to help with those wildfires. And again, it's people that, we're relying on the generosity of those volunteers to say, I can leave my home for 2 weeks.
What is the actual role of a volunteer?
So there are a variety of things. Everything from basically running a shelter or getting food out to people who haven't had a hot meal in some period of time. Then you've got the folks that are doing the logistics, that are moving things behind the scenes. I've deployed on several hurricanes in the south, and the job that I usually take is driving one of our vehicles that feeds the community. So we will go to a place, and we'll either go through a neighborhood and serve hot meals, or we'll go to a location and hand out those meals. And it's just remarkable work. But it's a variety of tasks because it's an army.
It's an army. But I also want to interject because I get that question a lot. Oh, but I don't want to leave my home. And that's okay. We have opportunities to volunteer right here locally,
Right.
but also you can do it from the comfort of your home because there's a lot of opportunities to do virtual volunteer work. I, for one, during the Hurricane Helene, was on a virtual reunification team. And so what we were doing, because people did not know where their loved ones were.
Right.
And so we got so many inquiries about, I can get a hold of my parents. And so I was part of the team that was working with local government, police, and rescue teams to, can you go to this address? We need to confirm that mom and dad are okay.
That has to mean so much to the people that are wondering about a person that they can't find.
Right.
Or they don't know.
Well, and also, Mike, we also do that globally as well. So what Connie's talking about are the disasters that occur here in the United States. But we read in the news all the time where there's conflict and war and famine and things that
Right.
around the world. The American Red Cross and my team actually works on those cases where right now we're working on several POW cases, prisoners of war in conflict.
Really?
Yeah, the families are here in Illinois. And the family members are active combatants in other parts of the world. Or if you find yourself with a natural disaster in a space, I like to use the example maybe of a typhoon hitting the Philippine Islands. We come in and are able to help get messages from people here in the States that are, in my example,
Right.
Philippine, to the Philippine Red Cross and determine whether or not, are you safe? Are you alive?
Does the Red Cross provide training for their volunteers? Is there any training that they have to go
Absolutely.
through, certified, or any? What's that about?
Yes, there is. There are depending on the role that you wish to execute, depends on the type of training. A lot of it, can be done online at your pace. There are other opportunities that you can do the training in person. But Michael, I also on the topic, to close out the topic of volunteering, I do want to also emphasize the fact that we work with a variety of different professionals, health services, mental health,
Right.
spiritual care, because when we respond to a disaster, you're working with a family or groups of family who are they've just lost everything.
Just not one thing that you can help them with. It's a
No, it's a
We
variety.
try to provide the total package.
Right, it's the
Right.
shelter, it's the food. What resources do you need to recover? But also, you're going through tremendous loss, and to assimilate that, we've got mental health professionals, we've got
That's
health
unbelievable.
services who come in and say, did you lose medications? Did you lose wheelchairs, crutches? What do you need right now?
I grew up knowing about the Red Cross, but I never knew until we hooked up together exactly how involved the Red Cross is in our community. And it's not, like I said earlier, it's not just about a blood donation or, you encompass so much more in your outreach to these different communities that are going through a disaster or any kind of horrific issue that they're facing.
And that's the beauty of you giving us a space to make sure that people are aware of those services
Right.
and that they reach out to us when they find themselves like, I don't know what to do, I don't know who to call. Call us.
That's amazing. What initiatives does the Red Cross have in place to promote blood donations, which is, that's got to be a number one thing.
It's a no-fail mission.
Yes, it is, Michael.
Is there ever a shortage of blood?
Yes, there is.
What about
yes, there is.
now?
Right now, so you should know that we supply 40% of the nation's blood supply. That means that
Really?
on a daily basis, we're collecting blood and moving that blood product all across here.
40%.
40%. 25% of those of that blood product is going to cancer patients. They are the patients that are in most need on a daily basis.
Right.
Because of their treatment. But we have blood drives, we have blood centers where you can go and donate. We are trying to take the excuse away. We have a time, we have a day that you can come and donate, whether maybe you're doing it on your lunch break or you're doing it on a weekend. If you visit redcrossblood.org and type in your zip code, you'll get a list of the blood drives or opportunities for you to donate that are near you.
What other organizations does the Red Cross partner with?
We're very fortunate to count on our community partners in time of disaster, Michael, because it takes a village. It's not just the Red Cross. So when we are responding to flooding in our state, or we're responding to a tornado like we did a couple years ago here in the area, it takes the county, it takes the community to come together. What are the resources that we can collectively bring together for the people impacted?
Yeah.
So,
And the thing about it is, I can name organizations that you're going to know immediately,
Right.
but then there are organizations that you've never heard of
Right.
that are local to the area. So, for example, you're going to know who the Salvation Army is. We're alongside them in a lot of instances, or we might be along with the Southern Baptists when we're in the South. But the Suu Kyi organization here in Chicago, we've got a lot of, we have animal therapy programs that we partner with. We have a lot of different partners that bring special skills
Right.
because the Red Cross doesn't do it all, but we're
You
a
have the
local.
resources.
We're a local organization with global reach.
Right.
And so we're able to bring in organizations that are able to supplement if we've got some sort of specific need. Like if we find ourselves needing sign language interpreters, we can get that.
Right.
If we find that we need spiritual care people, we can work to that. It just depends on the nature of the disaster.
If people that are listening right now, if somebody wanted to get involved and volunteer, why don't you tell us where would we go and what we would do?
the easiest thing is for you to visit redcross.org. Go to our volunteer page. Look at all the different opportunities and what appeals to you. Like I said, there's opportunities too if you have a professional background like in mental health services, if you're a nurse or you're a nurse practitioner or a retired doctor. That's the other thing too. You know, we see a lot of retirees who think like, I'm gonna have all this time, I can't wait to not do anything.
They want to give back.
And then all of
Yeah.
a sudden it's like, I can't sit at home all the time. I need to do something. So
Right.
we're so fortunate to count on so many professionals. But redcross.org, and or you can call 800 Red Cross and speak to somebody. If you have very specific questions that you want to get answered right away, pick up the phone and dial that number.
So if there's anybody listening, you have any free time in your hand, you have any specialized skill, please don't hesitate to reach out to the American Red Cross because they got it going on. They do.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, now we're going to get to the fun part. We're going to talk about questions about the Hero 2025 Award.
Oh, I know why it's special to you. I know.
Okay then, what criteria is used to select the recipients of the Red
Well,
Cross Hero
before we
Award?
get into that, Michael, I think we should tell people what
What
the
it is.
Heroes Breakfast is.
Right,
So
okay.
the Heroes Breakfast, we've been hosting it. This is going to be our 23rd
23rd.
23rd year.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's our 23rd year. And this is an opportunity to highlight heroes within our community who are doing extraordinary acts for their community or specific groups. And there's 12 categories that we honor, and they're education, there's youth award, global citizenship, social justice, law enforcement, firefighter, disaster relief, healthcare, I said youth, blood services, and then the military award. And this year we're so fortunate and honored, Michael, to be honoring you with that award for the work that you're doing with our veterans.
Let me say this. When I got the call that I was nominated, I thought, oh my God, what a huge honor just to be nominated, to be recognized by such an amazing organization like the American Red Cross. I thought, oh, this is too good to be true. But I thought, Michael, don't get your hopes up. There's probably going to be a lot of people out there trying to get this award. And I thought, okay, fine. Within, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks, I got a call that I was selected for the military
Hero Award.
Hero Award.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I've been awarded some things in the past 8 years that I've been doing this, but I don't think I've been awarded anything that holds as much near and dear to me, to my heart, as being recognized by such an amazing organization.
Well, you should.
Because I'm still beside myself.
And you should feel very proud, Michael, because we received nominations for each of those 12 categories from everywhere. We've got bosses nominating employees. We've got community leaders nominating people in their community who are doing extraordinary things. There's hundreds of nominations every year, and there's a committee of civic leaders that sit down and look at the nominations under each category, and they have to unanimously come to a decision about who it is for each category. And, to think that out of the hundreds, and then break it down to the military and, however many we ended up with, and that group of people, which is like 15, 20 leaders, all voted you in. You should feel very proud. And we're proud to honor you.
I was beside myself. I still am. It's like, I'm going to wake up and this is, and I'm so looking forward to the breakfast, and again, it's such an honor to be recognized by such an amazing group like the American Red Cross. So,
Michael, I want you at my table because we're going to have several of the military there. And I know on the committee, and Connie can back this up, we actually had officers that are in military commands here in Illinois that actually saw your name and helped select you.
Yes.
Really?
And wait till
Yes.
you see the breakfast. So on April 30th, we'll come together at the Chicago Hilton, and you'll be in the grand ballroom with like 600 to 800 people.
Wow.
And these are leaders from corporate leaders, civic leaders, and nonprofit leaders. And they come together for a breakfast that honors the heroes, but also helps support the mission of the Red Cross. And in addition to being in an award ceremony, it's also a fundraising morning, and we're so flattered and grateful for the generosity of everybody in that room that joins us and is generous in making sure that we continue to carry out our mission.
Well, I don't see how anybody couldn't be taken back by what your
Wait till you see the
organization does.
videos.
Yeah, wait, you see the videos.
When they told
Bring your
me,
hankies.
I said, well, how many people will be at this? And they said, like you said, between 600 and 800 people. And okay, okay. And I'm gonna bring my service dog with me. And I'm gonna bring
Miss Fergie.
Fergie with me, and it's gonna be. I'm really looking forward to it. It's gonna be it'll be a night that or morning that I'm gonna remember for probably the rest of my life.
And I say this to every hero that I've ever interviewed and had the opportunity to talk to, and I say, it's your turn now. It's your turn to keep your eyes and your ears open and nominate somebody for next year's awards.
Oh, and I will do that. I guess for me it means so much, for me it does. I can't say it doesn't. But to help get the word out about K9 for veterans and what we could do to help a veteran suffering from PTSD or TBI, that there is help out there. They don't have to struggle alone. So this is such an amazing platform to get the word out about K9 that without this award, we would have never had the opportunity to reach as many people as we're going to reach through this award. So that's, and I have such an amazing group, just like your volunteers. I have such an amazing group of volunteers that they just go above and beyond. I mean, everything is all about our veterans. It's not about self. It's about how they could serve our veterans. My vice president, Reggie Latuca, which you'll meet her at the breakfast, this girl's nonstop. It's about whatever she could do to help a veteran, how we can organize this organization and make it better. I come up with a lot of great ideas, but she makes them work. So, behind every man is a good woman.
Well, one of the things I've learned in working with veterans over the years is that no one takes care of a veteran better than a veteran themselves.
Oh.
And the fact that you're actually in that space, you know what it's like.
Right.
And you're able to relate to somebody in a way that someone who didn't serve could not.
Well, that's one of the good things about our service dog program. When a veteran comes into the program, they may be a little apprehensive. Is this going to work for me? Or whatever. But now they're in a situation where they're working and training with other veterans that are struggling with the same things that they're going through. So it's so much easier for them to open up and relate to another veteran than it is to someone who's never walked the walk. So
yeah, I was at a veterans stand down in North Chicago about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and there were two veterans who served. I'm gonna guess by their age, probably in Iraq, late Iraq. and they both had comfort animals that were helping them work through the issues that they had. And to see that activity and work and know that the animal can recognize before something goes wrong
Right.
and then interact and help, it's just an amazing, amazing thing.
You know, our guys become so isolated when they come home.
Yeah,
They don't go out. They don't socialize. It is all withdrawn.
Right.
These service dogs have a way of bringing them out of that shell.
right.
It really does. I mean, where they wouldn't leave the house, now they're asking their wife, "Could we go to Costco?" You know, before they wouldn't walk to the mailbox to get the mail.
Yeah.
They sit in front of that TV for 8, 12, 16 hours a day, didn't talk to anyone.
Right.
And now, once they're in that training program and they're working with other veterans, you couldn't get that service dog away from them.
Right, right.
I mean, it becomes their lifeline. It really does.
Absolutely. And it's great work that you're doing. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're so excited to be able to recognize you and the organization.
Well, thank you. It was, like I said, it's quite an honor, and I'm just really humbled by it. And, you know, I just still hard to believe that I won. Can organizations be nominated, or does it have to be a individual?
No, we've had individuals, we've had couples, we've had organizations.
Okay.
It's really just about the mission of that person or that organization and what they're doing that we're looking for. Life-saving is another category we haven't even talked about. These are people that are selfless. They're going into burning cars. They're pulling people.
Really?
Yeah, they're pulling people out of
Those are
ponds.
real heroes.
The one that always strikes me actually happened out here on one of the beaches. They were out kayaking, and the weather turned, and the boat got turned upside down, and apparently one of the kids, I believe, couldn't swim.
Oh.
And the other fellow brought the kid who could not swim to shore safely. Unfortunately, the lifesaver passed.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was an amazing
How
story.
heartbreaking is
It
that?
is.
Well,
It is.
We've seen one of the other lifesaver was the nightmare that we all have of a car getting stuck on a train track.
Tracks, because he
Oh.
was having a medical emergency.
He was having a medical emergency, and the guy behind recognized the train was coming, and for some reason nothing was happening in the car ahead. He jumps out, recognizes, pulls the
him
guy out. I mean,
Wow.
And the train-
literally as the train hits.
That's a true hero.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
No, you're all heroes.
No, you're all
and
heroes.
all heroes doing heroic work in
When-
different capacities.
When I heard the name of the award, I thought, hero. I'm definitely not
Oh.
a hero.
Oh, no.
Ask the veterans that you're serving.
That's right.
Because that's what I heard when I was there.
Yep.
And again, I couldn't do what I do. It's just like with your organization, your volunteers make you who you are.
No doubt. No
They
doubt.
really do. They're the backbone. And my volunteers and my vice president Reggie Latuca, we've been doing this for 9 years now, and it's because of the group that we have behind us that we're still here today. Because they're all about our veterans. They really are.
Well, I think that the commonality in high performing, high passionate volunteers is that they own the space that they're in.
Right.
You know, if they are, the Red Cross in other nations might be the ambulance service. You know, we take for granted the fire service and the paramedics here, but in other countries, it's the Red Cross.
Right.
And they're passionate about it, and that's what they do. And then, you know, you've got volunteers like you. I am passionate about bringing support emotionally to veterans. I mean, when you own the lane, you can't pay for that.
No. It takes a small army to do what you're doing with your volunteers, and for Red Cross to be as successful it is, and it's an amazing organization. You have to credit that to the people behind you that are holding up
absolutely right.
what you're.
We couldn't do it without them. We tell them time and time again, and every chance that we get.
You know, again, I've worked with a lot of groups, but I never really knew. Sorry,
That's okay.
exactly all the intricacies that the American Red Cross does.
And he hasn't even talked
how-
about what he does with service to the armed
how many
forces.
people- Yeah, just tell us about that.
Well, quickly, there are 5 things the American Red Cross basically does in the U.S. You already talked about one, collecting blood, 40%. We do disaster, so that's going to be a home fire or it could be a hurricane, right? We teach CPR, first aid. We teach people to swim. Then you get to the international work, which is what connects us to our global movement, all right? And then the final one is our charter from Congress. mandates that we serve men and women in uniform. And I'm fortunate enough to lead that team that does that. And so we will go to, before someone goes to the military, they're going to go to MEPS, Military Entrance Processing Station, right up by O'Hare Airport. And they're going to get processed. They're going to sign all their papers. They're going to get medical. They're going to raise their hand and defend the Constitution. And then they're on the bus to go into basic training. But that conversation that we have with them and their families is what happens if something goes wrong. Okay, so I am now a sailor on the in the 7th Fleet. I am in the middle of the Mediterranean, and back home, all of a sudden, grandmother gets sick. The doctor then comes and says, "Guys, call the family." Well, you've got a member that's on an aircraft carrier in the middle of the Med. The Red Cross is charged by Congress with confirming that emergency. Yes, grandma is sick. We want the military member to come home. Then we get the message to the commander in the field. The commander in the field makes the decision to grant emergency leave, and then we bring them home. That entire process takes less than 36 hours.
Unbelievable. I was in the military. I was serving my basic at Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife was pregnant, was expecting any time.
Yep.
And they all said, well, the Red Cross will let you know. So the guys would all come running, you got the Red Cross, they're calling for you. Yeah, right. So finally, Red Cross did call, and they gave me a 3-day leave.
Yep, to come home.
And there was complications. They extended another 3 days. I mean, that's amazing how they can reach out to the military and be able to get that done.
Well, and we have that. And let's go to the other side. Let's talk about the active duty or the veteran status. That military member. Let's just say, so that's the emergency for active duty. If we end up having to, do we need to?
1 minute.
1 minute. I can do this really quickly. So let's just say you are a veteran and you lose your job, okay? And now you don't have the ability to pay your rent. You call the Hero Care hotline for the Red Cross. You work with a call center, and then we will get you to, in Army's case, Army Emergency Relief,
Right.
or the Marine Corps Fund, and help you guys find the resources that you need.
Unbelievable.
It's support that we provide, and we do it for free of charge.
Connie, Brian, you know what? I've learned so much about the American Red Cross, and I hope our listeners have too, because again, let me just say it's an amazing organization. I'm so proud they have been recognized for what I do for our veterans and stuff. God bless you for what you're doing for everyone, because your tentacles reach out to a lot of people.
Well, then thank you, and thank you
make
for
the
your
difference.
service.
You make the difference in their lives. So
Thank you for the
God
opportunity
bless
to
you
be
and
here.
thank you.
Appreciate it.